let's see how you did. Distribute, we get 10n plus 20 equals 6n plus 6. Then we go about moving one variable to the other and the other number to the other side. So first I'm going to subtract 6n. 10n minus 6n is 4n plus 20. Subtract 20. Oops. 6 minus 20 is negative 14. Divide by 4. And we get a simplified answer of negative 7/2. How'd you do? Well, hopefully you did well. And if not, you can find your mistake and try again. Number 10 is also going to be similar. X minus 1 divided by 6 equals 2 minus x divided by 8. So when we cross multiply, we'll have 8 times x minus 1 equals 6 times 2 minus x. And again, we have to distribute. So we got to be careful here. 8 times x is 8x. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8 equals 6 times 2, 12. 6 times negative x is negative 6x. Now we're going to go about solving. So the first thing I do is combine like terms with my variables. You always want to move the smaller one, which would be our negative. So I'm going to add 6x. 8 plus 6 is 14x. Then I'm going to add 8. So we get 14x equals 20. And when we divide by 14, we simplify our answer to give us 10/7. And so that's how the more complicated questions will work. Next thing we're going to do is some word problems. Okay, so let's try to look at those. Number 11. An an iPod has 2 gigs of storage and can hold 500 songs. Another iPod has 80 gigs of storage. How many songs can it hold? Now we're going to assume that this is a proportional relationship. So an iPod has 2 gigs of storage and can hold 500 songs. Another iPod has 80 gigs of storage. How many songs can it hold? Well, we have to set up a proportion. So when you're setting up a proportion, you want to make sure that you have things similar in similar positions. So keep in mind a proportion. We have our fraction equal to another fraction, or a ratio equal to another ratio. So let's start with the first one. We have 2 gigs of storage that can hold 500 songs. So 2 gigs can hold 500 songs. And we're saying that has to be equal to the other iPod in proportion. So 80 gigs, and we don't know how many songs. 80 gigs and an unknown amount of songs. Well, when we go to solve, we're actually going to take away the variables and solve. So the real problem is 2 divided by 500 equals 80 divided by x. So therefore, the gigs are in the numerator and the songs are in the denominator. But we took away those labels so we can actually use the numbers. So now we're going to solve. 2 times x, we have 2x. 80 times 500, which is hopefully something we can figure out. 40,000, and divide by 2. So x equals 20,000. Now, because it's a word problem, we should have a label. So technically it'd be 20,000. Going back to what we were solving for, which was songs, 20,000 songs. Let's try the next word problem. The currency in Croatia is the kuna. The current exchange rate is approximately $1 for every 6.68 kuna. Oh, let me clarify. $1 US. At this rate, how many kuna would you get for $25 US? Again, US dollars, United States dollars. Because we are not the only country that uses dollars. So let's set up our proportion. So the first thing we know is that $1 US is exchangeable for 6.68 kuna. So $1 US is congruent to 6.68 kuna. And that would be proportional to $25 US and an unknown amount of kuna. So which one goes in the numerator? Well, whatever is set with the dollars. So that'd be $25 over an unknown amount of kuna. So we take away the signs and we solve. 1 divided by 6.68 equals 25 divided by x. Now, because we're referring to money, the decimals are okay. So we have 1 times x equals, and we can use our calculator, 25 times 6.68, which is 167. Again, what were we solving for? We were solving for kunas. So approximately 25 US dollars is equal to 167 kunas. Okay, let's try one more like this. The currency in Australia is the Australian dollar, which is AUD. The current exchange rate is approximately $1 Australian dollar for 69 cents of a US dollar. At this rate, how much Australian dollars would you get if you exchanged $74 US dollars? Go ahead and try and solve that, and I'll be back to check your answer.